It's depressing. It's a grim day for people like you and me. And I think it should be a wake-up call for Republicans who don't want Trump, for center-leaning independents and right-leaning independents, and frankly for Democrats who have been fretting and wringing their hands and clutching their pearls for the last year. The last thing in between Donald Trump and the presidency, the name is Joe Biden. And so I think it's time for people to really wake up, and this depression, this fear, this anger, this outrage, this aghastment that I feel today at watching the results, channel that into figuring out how we stop Donald Trump from ever being president again.
Okay, so the 2024 presidential election is officially on the way. Last night we had the Iowa Caucus. This is the first state in the Republican primary. And the results? Trump won in a landslide, a near historic record. In fact, in recent history, he won bigger than any Republican has won. So Trump pulled in about 51% of the vote. Ron DeSantis came in a distant second. Nikki Haley was right behind him. And unfortunately, old Vivek, he was way behind a long distance fourth. But we all saw this coming. All the polls predicted it. All the enthusiasm on the ground predicted it. People showing up to the rallies, people talking online. Everybody knew that Trump was going to win in the landslide. And some people were wondering why the other candidates were even trying. Why would you even spend money and resources? Because you had no shot at all. So this came out exactly how we all thought. But the turnout was a little low because it was cold as hell up there in Iowa. It was the coldest day on record for a Republican primary. There were extremely harsh winter conditions, ice all over the ground, snow everywhere. So a lot of people didn't show up because a lot of people just didn't want to go out there and possibly get into some type of accident or something like that because it was extremely dangerous. But you did have a lot of enthusiasm. You did have a lot of people committed to that candidate and went out there to make sure that their vote was counted. But either way, Trump pulled in a massive victory, and the media is upset about it. The media has been crying, so the media had to air it back to back. You can see all these left-wing media outlets announcing that Trump won, and a lot of them were just upset about it. They were salty, trying to hold back tears while they declared that Trump was the winner. And we even had some of these corrupt fascist media outlets refusing to show Trump's victory speech, refusing to show Trump saying anything because they want to filter what he says before the masses can hear it. But let's take a look at some of these media outlets bitching.
Here's the interesting thing, John, among many others. Former President Trump has now set a new standard in modern presidential campaigning. You can skip all the debates, barely come to the first contested state as compared to the others who are vying for votes, claim you are an incumbent, a challenger, and a victim. That is to say, an incumbent former president, a challenger going up against a sitting opposition party president, and a victim of what he argues and many Trump supporters regard as overzealous prosecutors in lots of different cases, civil and criminal. Put all that together, things that any other politician that you and I have covered through our many years, John, would have considered substantial self-inflicted wounds, either not showing up at debates, not going and campaigning and meeting the voters, or indictments as a huge wounding aspect, turn them all into advantages.
But, I feel like the important sort of data point, and Steve talks about it a lot, he's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight, is that these are white Christians. That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following. Because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses and losses. And he said the following: they see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them. all the things that we think about electability, about, what are people gaming out, or none of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American.
In Iowa, the first contest inside the Republican Party, which has many evangelical conservative Christians, like those who populate the electorate here, and just years after there was an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, following repeated attempts by Trump to overturn the 2020 election, an attempt that failed but came close to pressuring the vice president at the time, Mike Pence, to come to the brink of denying that certification. So you cannot separate the politics from the issues of democracy here.
They falsely believe that the 2020 election, Joe Biden did not win that legitimately. And if he were convicted of a crime, still a vast majority of these voters would still vote for Donald Trump.
And you can hear them talking about, well, Trump didn't even campaign. This is messed up, man. How can he win such a big victory? He didn't even campaign. So they're talking about, well, hey, Trump wasn't on the ground. Trump wasn't giving a lot of speeches. You had Vivi giving hundreds of talks and speeches, even meeting people in gas stations. You had Ron DeSantis going to every county up there. They were saying, oh, Trump, he would just show up here and there, pop in, pop out, and not talk to the people. Well, they don't understand. These people already know Trump. Trump isn't a unique type candidate. Well, the people need to get to know him out. They already know him. He was president for 4 years. He has a proven track record. So these Iowans know who they want. They know this man already. So they don't understand that the people are basically voting for an incumbent. Trump is not the president now, but he's basically like an incumbent. It's been over 100 years since we had a situation where a former president is running to be president. So it's a very unique situation. These people just can't understand it. And they're sitting here salty and angry. CNN all night kept bitching about the election, talking about, well, look, you see they're counting. You shouldn't question the election. Oh, you shouldn't question the election. Why are people falsely questioning the election? They just bitched about that all night long, because while Trump is out there celebrating, while the campaign is looking good, while it looks like they're going to steamroll their way into the White House, these left-wing media companies are just bitching and crying. So if Trump wins the election in November, if there's no funding business going on in November, if there's no 300,000 votes for Biden overnight in Pennsylvania again, yeah, there's going to be a lot of left-wing media tears, and we're going to bathe in the tears with joy. But let's talk about DeSantis and Haley. So DeSantis, he sank everything he had, basically. He put a lot of time, all his time and resources into Iowa. So he knows, or at least he's predicting, that he's not going to do well in New Hampshire, the second state. And it looks like he's going to focus on the third state, South Carolina, more so. But he put so much time, so much resources just to barely beat Nikki Haley, warmonger, bird brain Nikki Haley. This man, he was the never Trumpers guy. He was the establishment guy. He had all the enthusiasm initially. He came in hot, not too far under Trump in the polls. And he's been declining ever since. Ever since they threw those indictments at Trump, and ever since he started swinging back at Trump after Trump started calling him the sanctimonious and Rob instead of Run. Ever since that happened, he's been sinking in the polls. And then these debates started, and Nikki Haley started her warmongering thing, her George Bush like talking points. She started going up in polls, and it was looking like she might come in second in this poll. So we're going to talk about her. She gave this victory speech. She came in third place and gave a victory speech, and then announced it's a two-person race. Let's look at this.
I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
So she's basically just ignoring Ron DeSantis, and she believes that she's going to be the one, because the media, even the left-wing media, is propping her up, and they're trying to position her, as Vivek predicted, to be their puppet. The media, the leftists, the Democrats, all of these people are trying to push Nikki Haley to be the Republican nominee because they hate Trump so much, and Nikki Haley is bought and sold by the military-industrial complex, so she can be controlled. So, like I said, we learned stuff from watching Nikki Haley. What we've learned is the George Bush era Republicans are alive and well. We thought that they were defeated for good back in 2016 when Trump annihilated Jeb Bush and Paul Ryan them was out as speaker, John Boehner, all them guys, they were gone. So we were like, we're in a new era. We're in a more American first era. The establishment Republicans from the old days, from 20 years ago, from 15 years ago, they're gone. But no, if you watch Nikki Haley, how they're propping her up, even the Republican voters, there's a lot of enthusiasm for Nikki Haley among Republicans when she's nothing but Dick Cheney in high heels, like Vivek said. So it shows us that these warmonger type, these I'm going to cut taxes, I'm going to enrich myself personally off of wars, I'm going to enrich my own family, I'm going to prop my own family up, and I'm going to start all types of failed wars like the United States been doing for the last several decades. These Republicans are still around. Nikki Haley with all that rhetoric, oh, we need to bomb Iran, we need to bomb this country, that country, let's just bomb the entire earth. Because we're in the United States and we're completely unstoppable because she knows nothing about war and military. But these Republicans are getting a lot of enthusiasm. She's getting a lot of votes. She's being propped up. The establishment wants her. Big donors are pushing for her because she's a George Bush era Republican. These people are still around. But hopefully someone like her, bird brain Nikki, won't make it. Hopefully Trump continues to dominate throughout the primaries, even with the left-wing media and the Republican establishment and the Never Trumpers all propping her up. That's why Chris Christie dropped out, because he wanted to push his voters to her. Hopefully Trump continues his path of destruction of these Republicans in the primaries, and then he can go on and defeat Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama, whoever the hell they put in there. And hopefully there's no funny business. But let me know what you guys think about this. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.